crude oil. It comes in train car loads or it comes in a pipeline. You cook that oil, and you cook it under pressure, like you would cook food in a pressure cooker. As that oil cooks in a refinery, what's in that crude oil barrel separates, then it goes into the gasoline stage.
There's no doubt this will be called the oil age. We really never stop to think about it, but this entire civilization is made out of and moved by crude oil.
Oil is everywhere in our lives. We know it's in our vehicles. We're used to using it to fill up the tank. Oil is in medicines. Oil lubricates almost everything that moves in our economy. Oil is in our clothes. Oil is in the rug you're standing on or in the material of the chair you're sitting in. It's in every piece of plastic that's made.
We live in a society in which we rely upon personal mobility as the primary means of transportation. And there's no public transportation system to rely upon in the United States of America as an alternative to high prices or shortages.
America wasn't always without transportation choices. Once upon a time, we had the best and cheapest public transportation in the world.
The new streamlined streetcars at Los Angeles. The latest in big town transportation on rails.
People loved the trolleys. They could hop off, they could hop on. All the trolleys ran on electricity. It was said that you could go from San Diego to New York City on a trolley just by transferring. Standard Oil, Mack Truck, Firestone, Phillips Petroleum, and General Motors all got together to create a secret company. They would buy up all the trolley systems. They would buy them in Galesburg, Illinois, in Baltimore, in Florida, in Los Angeles. The rails were pulled up. The trolley cars themselves were burned in public bonfires, and they replaced them with smelly, oil-consuming motor buses. Eventually, the federal government discovered that this was a conspiracy to subvert mass transit. All 5 corporations were indicted. They were tried. They were found guilty. A corporate conspiracy was responsible for destroying the trolleys in America.
With cheap public electric transportation eliminated by oil and car companies, the vision of America's future switched from rails to roads.
During the 1950s, we introduced the biggest public works project in history, the interstate highway system. And so we started to connect the entire country in a massive public works highway system. That allowed us to build out suburbs and create shopping malls and mature the auto age and the consumer society. And that was a big leap forward in growth.
See the USA in your Chevrolet.
Americans love mobility. They just want to go.
Through the USA, America's the greatest land of all.
A large part of America's love affair with cars is that it's freedom. It means you can go where you want, when you want, with who you want.
That all depends upon an affordable level of gasoline, and that's what makes the economy go round.
For 6 decades, we had this freedom, the world had this freedom, and suddenly in the 1970s, that freedom came to a screeching halt.
Egypt and Syria are at war with Israel today.
In 1973, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel. Out of this ensuing conflict, OPEC seized the opportunity to cut the supply of oil worldwide.
The oil-producing countries of the Arab world decided to use their oil as a political weapon.
The threat was economic. If you don't change your foreign policy, we will cut off your oil supply, and average Americans will not be able to do their basic life activities.
It had devastating effects on the American economy. It caused mass unemployment. There were lines to any job that anybody had to offer.
We would have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because this one station for the entire community would run out of gasoline by 8 in the morning.
People could only get 10 gallons. They could only get it every other day. People were angry at not having any power over their life.
Now, I got to tell you, Americans, when they stand in a gas line, they're not that friendly. One day I'm pulling into the gas station. The guy knows me, and I notice he's got guns on his hips, 6-shooters on each hip. He said, "I'll fight to the death to protect my gas."
It made such an impact on me that I've spent my entire career thinking about this problem. How do we solve the problem that OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, this cartel that was created, how do we get to a place where they can't control the destiny of an average American?
OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries at Saudi Arabia, Iran, Venezuela, etc., sit on 78% of conventional oil reserves. So we're facing a situation in which this market, the oil market, is dominated by a cartel. Now, at the same time, our cars can only use oil.
After the shock of the oil crisis, instead of building efficient cars and diversifying fuel types, America chose a different path. It increased the number of countries it imports oil from. And like someone protecting their gas station, America built military bases near almost every major oil installation in the Middle East.
America pays about $500 billion a year to maintain military forces whose primary mission is intervention in the Persian Gulf. That expenditure is about 10 times what we pay to buy oil from the Persian Gulf. Of course, we have other interests in the region. It's not all about oil, but it's hard to believe that we would have fought a couple of wars there and sent lots of troops there if Kuwait just grew broccoli.
If we could get away from sending our sailors and airmen and soldiers to go defend somebody else's oil fields, you can't even put a price tag on that. There are some people who naively say, well, no, those forces are there to defend democracy. But if that was really true, then we would be every place where there is a problem. And we're not every place where there is a problem. We are only those places where there is a oil problem.
And while America's oil problem seems big today, it's about to get much worse.